Hi, Rick Harsch here, uh, Chief Editor of Corona Samizdat Press. And here's our logo, Corona Samizdat. You can see there's well, I guess you probably can't see it very well, but what the hell? You probably have one of my books. And if you don't, and you get a recent one, you get the recent logo, which will be the final logo. Sooner or later, we're going to get it on this book. This is one of the first two books I published. These are the first two. Now, I'm doing this review of our press because today, yet again, I had a book turned down by a bigger press in the United States. Someone who's looked at several of my books and seems to always have a reason to reject the book. The book he rejected, well, he rejected this because he said there were 20 to 30 sentences he didn't want to edit, because he didn't want to edit anything. And now, if you look at Chris Villa's review of this and the number of sales, I've sold 155 of this over the mail. It was published on April 24th last year. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up, and as you will see, we've done quite well for the first year. It's a non-profit press, so everything I make goes back into the press until one of the authors besides myself makes and it gets enough sales to make royalties. But what I want to say about that, the latest book that was turned down was Skulls of Istria. And he turned it down because he said it was misogynist, which is absolutely wrong. It's this book has been around a while. It's been read by quite a lot of people. Nobody's ever said it was misogynist, and it's about the struggles of someone who is very unhappy with the political situation, the conformism around him, and he struggles because there's nothing he can do about any of that. And it's probably one of your best tavern confession novels ever written. Look at Chris Villa's Goodreads review. Look at everybody else's reviews. This is a great little book, but it was turned down because suddenly it's misogynist. And the guy had the nerve to mention that, he was looking at it more through the eyes of Dasha Derndich, who is actually mentioned in this book, Walk Like a Duck, a season of Little League Baseball in India, because it's in diary form, and Dasha, who I love, died while I was writing it. And, I wrote him back and I said, Dasha Derndich, she was a little younger. I would have looked her up and we would have been great friends. We would have gone to the expensive Iridentis bars on the waterfront in Trieste and wreaked havoc and been kicked out and so on. Dasha and I would have been great friends, and she would not have made the mistake of reading this as a misogynist book. There are two women that have big roles in this, and one is deceiving the narrator, but for her own political reasons, and the other is a well-drawn, warm, respected historian, and a very generous character. And anyway, there are comments in here that could be taken as not the nicest thing a man could say about a woman, but in context, it's understandable, and it's also not a book about a great man. It's about a frustrated man who's drinking and talking to a guy who doesn't speak any English, and he's speaking English to him and buying him drinks to keep him there. And that's a great book, and it's done fairly well, and I'm very happy with it. This has sold, like, did I say that already? It sold 155 copies through the mail. Chris Villa has Chris Villa is the number one YouTube critic in my view. I don't know all the booktubers, but I don't think they get better than Chris Villa, and probably that's why it sold so many books. And I think one of the themes here that I want to express is that great writing is not always recognized by it's rarely recognized for what it is and should be, because um, big Hollywood, it's like Hollywood, but New York print publishers, they want to make money, and because of that, a book that a reader um, who loves baseball considers his best baseball book and put it ahead of Roger Angel and Roger Kahn, which is very, very high company. But it's also more than a baseball book. It talks about the landscape of northeastern Italy, including the political landscape. And there's a lot of fun facts in there, and a lot of fun making fun of fascists in there. And there's a lot of great baseball stuff. But it's 640 pages, so it would be considered daring for a publisher to take a chance on it. And so yeah, that's another one that one's not selling very well, but it is being received well, and that's very important. But that's enough about me for now. Let's look for the next book. God, I love this new widescreen that Noah um, told me. Oh my God, I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, well, the next book we published after these two was The Angel of Sodom and 13 Other Stories. I happened to grab 2 copies of the large print Angel of Sodom, which is just Angel of Sodom. But, the book for you to buy is the full copy. And unless your eyes are really bad, you don't want to buy the large print. This was just a lark for those with bad eyes. One thing about having your own press and getting to the point where you don't give a fuck about what other people think of your writing is you can do whatever you want. And one thing is you can put $100 or so into 30 copies of a large print edition of one of your books, and that was a lot of fun. We put on the back cover. There's a great picture here of Zachary Tanner's son Marcel that we put, because we put author photo not available because I wanted this picture. It's such a wonderful picture of this just over 2-year-old boy. One of the more charming and well-raised kids. Well-raised because Zach Tanner is a unique individual and very free-spirited. And that kid is already exposed to all kinds of books and music, and I envy his life. The next book I put out was, I already talked about Skulls of Istria, which was next. But after that, I brought back my early trilogy, and this is sold moderately well, but not nearly as well as it should. It's on sale now for $5, as is Angel of Sodom. Because we have so many copies, I wanted to offer cheap to sell them. But so far it hasn't been working. This is my first three. These are my first three novels, all in one, and it's some pretty funny and wide-ranging prose, and you're missing out if you're not reading the Driftless trilogy. It's a great book, a great three books, and you'll find that was back. I wrote the first one as a kind of lark when I was in the Iowa Writers Workshop and had finished the book I had come there to write, which is called The Appearance of Death to a Hindu Woman, and that will be coming out this summer. Deep into the Hindu landscape and mindscape is a love story of sorts. It'll be a surprise to those who've read other books of mine. The next book we brought out was George Salas's Sea Above, Sun Below, and I guess it's so well known by now that I don't really have to say much about it. He's getting royalties. Second best-selling book we've got, and that came out at the end of June last year, and the next book up was Jeff Bursey's, but there was so much time and there was a little extra money from sales, so I retrieved Arjun and the Good Snake, which was contracted for publication, and I did get $4,000 for it, but it ultimately was rejected because I did not follow the editorial edicts of the editor of the same press that turned down Skulls of Istria. And the reason I didn't follow them is because I didn't know what they were. He never said exactly what he wanted. Oddly enough, a month or so after I published it, he wrote me a letter, and in a paragraph, he said, that this book would have been great if I had done this. I think it's great as it is. Zach Tanner considers it my best book, and he says to read this before you read Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas. There's a lot about snakes and alcoholism and India and bad drunken behavior. You have the obvious connection between snake venom and alcohol, and also, I would say, well, how would you sell this book if you were a big publisher? You'd say, if you've never read anything about India, this is a good introduction to India. One of you out there is about to read it or has started to read it, because I said that you get as good a description of the concept of Maya, the real concept of Maya, in this book as you'll find anywhere else. Fairly succinct and quite accurate. And so, oh, by the way, these are pocketbooks, these little ones. Brought back the pocketbook. It's my press, and I can do whatever I want. Now, when I say it's my press, it's also the press of several people who I've come to work with and take advice from. Zach Tanner has become the expert on Chandler Brossard, perhaps in the country, after Stephen Moore, and we actually work a little with Stephen Moore on all of our Chandler Brossards. Widescreen, where'd I go? Where'd I go? I went over here, just to stretch, because I'm leaning. You get the muscles and bones get old, and. So then the next book that came out is Jeff Bursey's Unidentified Man at Left of Photo, which is just a marvelous. I think he calls it an exploratory novel. It fits all the other terms, postmodern, metafictional, but it's a really really delightful book. I've read all three of his novels now, and this is one that's being undersold, overlooked, and yet there was one horrible review of it by someone who didn't read it and just is against maximalist Stephen Moore suborned novels, but everybody else. Chris Villa did a show on this or a write up on it or something, but he was one of the people who realized how good this book is. It's masterfully done. It's very funny. I guess you could say sort of a combination of Italo Calvino and Kurt Vonnegut. Very very quietly intelligent, and well, see for yourself. Uh, After that, I believe the next book was Bori Proper's hard to read title, Cynicism Management, the first of a trilogy. And this is by a Slovene guy writing in English, and it is just a fantastic satire of the modern political situation, and but it's also about music and the band, and it has the best tattoo scene you'll ever read in literature, and it's very funny, and I was very pleased to have the opportunity to publish this. He has another one coming out called Pendulum Pet, which will bring out sometime this year, summer or fall. And then during this time, I read this chapter by Stephen Moore about Chandler Broussard, and I got from that this is a free man writing his own unique stuff. And I chose 3 books that I wanted to publish. And now Zach Tanner has gone apeshit, and he's found another one, and maybe another one, and maybe another one. And the first one, we have not gotten a review, as far as I know, of Raging Joy's Sublime Humiliations. But it's the best fiction I've read on Vietnam. It's completely wild and at times cartoonish, and but penetrating and brilliant. And he names names, and a lot of you younger folk won't know much about these people, but people like me who've read a lot about Vietnam and are a little older will, will. I just loved the stuff that he did. He knew that John Kennedy was as much a bastard as anybody else when it came to killing Asians, and so that's a great little book, and being a little bit overlooked. Now, the next book is The Assassination of Olof Palme, an anthological novel by Rick Harsch and 40, 50 other people. maybe 80 some percent written by me, and the rest incorporated in various ways. The number of styles, there's even Ulipo in here. There's Tamil Shangam poetry in here. There's a sonnet in here, and there's uh, about every it's a Menippean satire that I consider doubly Menippean because some of the satire is simply presenting what really happened. For instance, the Nazi um, Klaus Barbie, who was called the Butcher of Lyon, who the United States um, took in and protected, and against the French really wanted to nail this bastard, but the U.S. wouldn't do it. The U.S. had him in Augsburg, and an actual non-military working for the military, a linguist, because of his lingual proficiency, was working with the military in Augsburg right after World War II, and Barbie was a wanted man, and he discovered Barbie, and he went to his boss, United States military guy, said, "Hey, so and so is Klaus Barbie," and his boss said, "Shut the fuck up and get out of here." So we have a scene in here in which Barbie talks to the guy to console him, about that. And I'm going to skip the next couple of books in order to mention that this novel is now done. It's 2 volumes, and they're on sale, and several books are on sale because this is the Anti-Fascist Spring Liberation sale. It lasts through the spring, €2 off of each book that is has anything to do with anti-fascism. That covers we got quite a bit here, and none better. Well, mine are a little bit more direct. A couple of mine, like this one, the hijinks that occurred in Europe are one of the focuses. The Reagan administration is another. Got some good scenes with Nancy in here. I'd sure love to read the last paragraph of the book because it involves both one of the narrators and the 2 main narrators are Rick Harsch and the character Rick Harsch. But Rick Harsch is in that last paragraph, and so is Nancy Reagan. But I don't want to ruin it for you. You'll also find that in this book, I don't know, you hate to say that something's never been done before, but the revelation at the end of this book of the authorial intention is very, very surprising, and something that may never have been done quite this way before. I think that this is the equal of The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, and it's also something that's never been done before, as far as I know, is the anthological novel, and I'm very, very happy with this book. We got a big stack that's gonna fall. See, I'm a prophet. The year started this year, January. We came out with this book called Tendrolopolis by Vesna Radic, and our man Zach did the cover, and he did it in a kind of Victorian erotica style with various drawings and so on, and that you would think would take away from some of the what's really going on here. It's an epistolary novel, novels back and forth from a Serbian scholar to a English scholar, and it is some of the best writing you'll ever come across. And we've already got a review on Goodreads. Someone read it and said it was even better than Robert Coover's Spanking the Maid. All of our books seem to be getting good reviews once they get the reviews. This one is a history that I wrote, a maritime history. It's called The Circumnavigation Through Maritime History. It's probably our most handsome volume. I'm especially pleased with the title page. And the recently, a review is coming out by a very good reader who said that he's been retired for a number of years, and he said it's the best nonfiction book he's read since he retired. And, so what do I need Hollywood for? I mean, New York. What do I need them for? I've got real readers appreciating all of our books. And that brings me to the last book I published in 2020, the very expensive production of Wake Up, We're Almost There. Chandler Broussard, who is 2 years off because even though his topic is not overtly fascism in the novel itself, in most of the novel, it is anti-fascist, and there are moments of sheer brilliance in here. But he's such a loose and free writer that they kind of take you by surprise. And next week, probably Friday, we will have, As the Wolf Howls at My Door, our third Broussard. That was another expensive one, so it took us a while. And so we will have both of the big Broussards. But then we have another Broussard coming out that was released as Did Christ Make Love? And from Stephen Moore, we found out that his Broussard's title was As the Wolf Leaps. And I think I know why it was changed, because of fear of religious backlash. And now that makes no sense, because Did Christ Make Love seems like a provocative title, but the wolf who leaps would be a priest. And so I think that's why they didn't call it that. Shameful. It's shameful. Writing is an enterprise for free people. And, this has been the best literary year of my life, despite the disappointments with big publishers in the United States, because I've gotten direct contact with so many people, and there's so much appreciation. And, I missed another book, the Vardaman Flip book, which is underselling. Great reviews. There are two novels. One is called Suddenly This Summer, from 10 years ago, and the other is April is the Cruelest Month, from half a year ago. And you get two different Vardamans, but two brilliant books. Somebody compared Suddenly This Summer with Jim Thompson, and I thought that is actually quite apt. I think it's a little deeper than Thompson, but the strangeness of it, the perversity of it, is, and the sort of a combination of those with a sort of Midwestern naturalism It makes it, it's a fantastic book. And you get two in one, the flip book. Sorry I forgot to bring it out. Um, but you got to get your hands on that. It's worth €10 just to have a book that you can flip. Anyway, uh, oh, the bones, the old bones. I'm an insomniac. I don't know what time it is. It's probably 5:30 in the morning. But uh, the last thing I want to say is I'm not the only small press um,